Data protection and privacy teams are under more pressure than ever with new laws, AI oversight, data breaches, and the constant expectation to do more with fewer resources.
That's why TrustArc built a modern privacy and data protection management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. It unifies your tools, automates the work that slows you down, and surfaces what matters most right when you need it.
From guided quick actions to our intelligent assistant, Ask Arc, you get credible, contextual answers backed by expert research, not generic AI guesses.
Finally, privacy that works the way privacy pros work.
Learn how TrustArc helps teams move faster with confidence at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.
You're listening to Serious Privacy, powered by TrustArc. Here are your hosts, Dr. Kay Royal and Paul Breitbart.
Did you ever meet a field chief privacy officer? Chances are you have not, since, as far as I know, there currently is only one in the world.
One.
Ron DeJesus, working with privacy management software developer Transcend. And Ron is certainly not new to privacy and data protection. He was a consultant at Ansan, Deloitte, and PwC, managed privacy for multiple high-end fashion brands, and made all of our dating lives, or, well, at least mine, a little more privacy-friendly while working at Tinder, Match, and Grindr. And of course, you will all know him as the driving force behind the LGBTI plus allies parties during the major IAPP conferences, where some privacy pros even come out in drag. I think we will have something to talk about today. My name is Paul Breitbart.
And I'm Kay Royal, and welcome to Serious Privacy. Yes, I cracked Paul up doing sound effects during the introduction because we have one of my favorite people in the whole wide world.
Thanks for joining us, Ron.
I am absolutely delighted to have Ron on the podcast.
Why has it taken 4.5 years?
Right?
I don't know, but Paul, I want you to introduce me going forward on everything, because that was great.
You can just use the recording.
He does a good job, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah, we know how to make things sound good since we don't do the video part. So let's get to the unexpected question, which is, if you had to make a 3-course meal with one main ingredient, what would it be?
Oh, love this question. I am pescatarian,
Okay.
so I would probably choose some sort of salmon or chickpea combination. But if it was one ingredient, I'd probably do chickpeas. Lots of protein in there.
Chickpeas, because you can do multiple things with it. I love it. I love it.
Including for dessert?
Well, you could take the liquid of chickpeas, if you will, and make that.
Yes. And use it as egg white. Yes.
Exactly.
Ooh. So, Paul, I've given you time to think now.
Yeah, if there is one ingredient that needs to come through in all 3 courses, I probably will go with a Sichuan peppercorn.
Ooh.
Oh, I've had a lot of good cocktails recently with Szechuan peppercorns.
Oh, yes.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Gin tonic with Sichuan peppercorns.
Really
See,
good.
this goes back to the whole thing that Kay doesn't drink, so I don't know a lot of these things.
There is also non-alcoholic gin.
Oh, there we
Yes.
go. I like that. Okay. So it's not that I don't like drinking. I just don't like the taste of alcohol.
Interesting.
So what would be your ingredient?
Okay. So the one thing that came to mind for me was chicken and dumplings. Now, that's not an ingredient. That's a meal.
No.
So I guess dumplings. They'd have to be gluten-free dumplings, but I'll go with dumplings because I can do them as an appetizer or a salad. I can do it as the main meal with chicken and dumplings, and then I can do them as a dessert with sugar and everything.
Yeah.
So I'll take dumplings for the win.
That sounds good. I still see the combination with the Sichuan peppercorn and probably even with the chickpea.
Yes, it's an interesting meal.
I think it would work. You can make a really nice dough, I would say, out of the chickpea for your dumplings.
Yes.
Yeah, like a sauce that you put on it or something.
It would work. But before indeed it becomes the cooking show again, maybe we should just ask Ron, why the hell did you get into privacy?
Before we go there, here is a question for our fans. Our fans, I know you're listening because otherwise you're not our fans. Let us know. I'm making stickers for the Global Privacy Assembly, and I'm thinking of doing Serious Privacy Cooking Show. Just saying. Let me know if that's something you want to go, or do you want another Barbie mock-up with Paul?
I'm voting for the Kuchen.
Those were the hit at the IAPP. So I can make something happen. Okay, Ron, why did you get into privacy?
Well, I actually didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be a privacy professional.
They do now, but they didn't back when we all got into it.
Yeah, honestly, I should also level set. I'm not a lawyer. So it's like, and I was doing privacy back in the day when it was still a pure legal function. So I started working at a healthcare consultancy based in Toronto, and where Nimity is also based, right, Paul?
When was
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. This was, oh my God, 2008.
Oh, that's when I
Yeah.
had my first official privacy job.
Yeah. And this was pretty new in Ontario. So there was a lot of work being done to address the Ontario Personal Health Information Protection Act, or
Okay.
PHIPA at the time. And so I started doing privacy reviews on healthcare systems because I was the only one with the time available to do them.
Okay.
And yeah. And then I just basically made that my skill set and area of expertise. And it blew up from there. I left Canada in 2009, I believe, and went to Deloitte's privacy practice
Okay.
and got exposure to working with F1000s on their privacy programs. And mind you, this is, pre-GDPR. So
Yeah.
working with the
Way pre-GDPR.
way pre-GDPR. And it kind of ballooned from there. Again, I'm not necessarily, I wasn't necessarily enthralled with the privacy space, if you will, but I was really good at assessing gaps, identifying areas of improvement. So I come from an audit background based on like my work at Deloitte and PwC,
Okay.
and it just kind of really, really intertwined well with privacy. So that was the
Yeah.
start, was essentially seeing a need and a niche market for privacy assessments. So,
Now, were you a member of IAPP back then?
yeah, I was. I was
Me
actually
too.
one of the
I
first.
joined in 2008. Yep. Very cool.
Do you remember when those conferences were like 50 people?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I remember when IAPP had like 3,000 members.
yeah.
So it's interesting because, of course, I've gotten selfies with Trevor like every conference I'm at with him, whether he likes it or not.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, I never stored them over the years. People are like, "Oh, we'd love to see those back to 2008." And I'm like, "Yeah, nobody ever thought there would be this big thing of social media, and that would be as big as it was, that you would share pictures like that or whatever." But it's interesting. Yeah. So you and I, how did we not come across each other, or did
I don't
we? And we
know.
just don't remember.
But do you remember when the certification was literally just CIPP?
Oh.
There was no iteration of like a US or, yeah,
And then
that's
we
how.
said you had to put the /US on it. I'm like, but it
Exactly.
wasn't US. It was global privacy.
It was
Maybe it was
global.
focused on US. He didn't for quite a
I
while.
will say treasure. He is a treasure.
He is a
but
treasure.
Trevor is a incredible supporter of these LGBTQ events.
Isn't he amazing?
Yeah, he has really supported me throughout my entire career.
Oh, good.
So I actually really love the support that he gives to the community as a whole. But anyway, yeah, I think all three of us go way back when it comes to the IAPP.
Yeah, I don't think Paul
yeah.
was a member of the IAPP way back when. Were you?
I wasn't. I've only been a member for a few years because
Yeah.
people working at data protection authorities traditionally do not get a membership of the IAPP. They just
Right.
go either because the commissioner is speaking and part of the team, or because they're speaking themselves. And so I only became a member of the IAPP when I joined Nimity back in 2016.
There you go. And that's when I
Wow.
joined TrustArc. So there's a lot of interweaving of stuff here. Most people don't know that Paul and I did not meet until just a few months before we launched the podcast. And it may have been a while
Weeks.
since we,
Days.
yeah, weeks, that is true. TrustArc acquired Nimity, which
Right.
I was really glad of because I loved the heck out of Nimity and I hated that we had started competing with each other. And
Mhm.
it was interesting because when he mentioned to our then boss, Hillary Wendell, that he wanted to do a podcast, Hillary's like, "Oh, well, Kay wants to do one too." And so we cooked it up and we were in January and I said, "Well, let's launch it on Data Privacy Day." He's like, "Hey, that's only 3 weeks away. We don't have time to do this. Let's launch it on March 15th, Pi Day."
I
March
like
14th,
to prepare things. Kay is more winging it.
pretty much.
It's a good combination.
Right. And so he said, well, let's march it on Pi Day because our team name was Privacy Intelligence. We went by Pi. We said, we'll just launch it then. The weekend of Data Privacy Day, TrustArc goes, oh, we didn't launch anything for Data Privacy Day. We want you and Paul to go live with the podcast. So rather than 3 weeks to prepare, he had 3 days. And he was not in ideal situation. We had no technology. We didn't have good speakers and hearing. We didn't even know what the hell we were going to talk about. I mean, it was the Wild Wild West out there. So speaking of the Wild Wild West and all of these coincidences, so Ron, you've got the fame now, the infamy of the first field chief privacy officer, which you and I talked about, I thought was absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to pray and pray that they get the right person. And when I saw you got the job, I was like, yes, thank you, God.
What did you think? Oh, thank God.
Right. No, I was absolutely thrilled. I'm like, if I could imagine anybody in this role who could maximize the exposure and the connections, it's Ron.
Oh, that means a lot, Kay.
What have your first few weeks, months been like? It's been months now.
It has been 3 months of a whirlwind. And just going back to this concept of a field chief privacy officer, yes, I think
awesome.
Transcend was really had the foresight to come up with a role that combines someone with operational experience, but then also, to your point, and I'm just using your words, Kay, but social media savvy, because before Transcend, I was actually doing a lot of just social media content on LinkedIn.
You were. You're learning sessions from all your various locations. I'm like, can you just be right back in there, right by Ron? I'll listen to this. I'll be Ron.
So when I saw the role pop up, I reached out to Ben Brook, the CEO, and was like, hey, look at my stuff and let's talk. And that's how the discussion started, because again, if you look at it from an industry perspective, there are folks doing some social media content. And I actually have a newfound respect for quote unquote influencers. 30, as I'm sure you both know, 30 seconds of content takes hours to do.
Oh yeah.
So again,
well, I don't know. I wing it pretty much, but if you want it to be quality.
Still, even with winging it, we spend a lot of time with the podcast.
Oh, I bet. So you guys know the deal when it comes to creating quality content, right? So the last 3 months have been a whirlwind. I've traveled to various countries with the MO of just interacting with the privacy community. And what that means is I'm sitting down with them, doing interviews and just learning about their pain points. And I'm able to relate to that, given I've sat in their shoes before, which I think is really, critical if you have a field CPO to actually have someone that has that operational experience, that has built a program, that has talked to regulators, that has been scrutinized by regulators, that has, implemented privacy tooling. So it's been an incredible 3 months. Real
hands-on practical knowledge is just completely immeasurable. It is absolutely immeasurable, invaluable.
Specifically in privacy, because there have been field CISOs, right?
Yes.
And I think they saw that model work really well. Especially, it's so interesting to be on the sales, on a vendor side now.
Yeah.
It's a completely different animal. And
now, I don't know about you, but when you train salespeople, there's a way you train salespeople.
Yeah. You kind of need to coach them a little bit. But I've also been coached myself in terms of finding that balance. But anyway, being FCPO in our industry and seeing the support from you guys, and just
I can't call it the FCPO. I'm sorry.
We'll call field chief. What do you want to call it?
Field CPO. We'll call it the field CPO. I like that. We'll call it. I can't call it the FCPO.
Okay.
What I know there is no such thing as a typical day for a privacy professional, but what does your week look like, especially the ones where you are not at a conference?
Yeah, speaking on podcasts.
That's not a full-time job.
No, it isn't. But I actually spend a lot of my time, in addition to just developing content, on webinars and podcasts and creating videos. I like doing a lot of outreach to the community in terms of garnering interest in this. Because I think and I don't know what you guys think, but I think most CPOs, they're wholly internally facing. So a lot of them aren't comfortable sitting down in like a public setting like this and giving their thoughts, right? I think
they're not, or they need to get permission from their company
Right.
because they're publicly traded or something. That my company knew that I did speaking and appearances and podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they fully realized how externally facing I am. And everything I do on my own is totally my own opinion. It could not be credited to I don't even put my employer linked in the bio description for the podcast because they're publicly traded. But I want there to be that clear delineation between professional work and personal work. And it's interesting that you say that because you're right. Most CPOs aren't active
right.
externally facing.
But when you as an example, Kay, and obviously you too, Paul, like really demonstrates and shines through your passion for this. Talking with UK, like I could listen to you for hours, right? So
and I could talk for hours on privacy. Paul's like, oh no.
Well, that's why there's editing, right?
Exactly.
So in addition to, engaging with the community, I am also taking my learnings back to Transcend. And again, to your point, Kay, walking our sales teams, around improving the tool and that sort of input, which is really interesting as well. So, and I'm still navigating this role as well. I'm making it my own, and
you're defining the
so
role.
Lucky. I'm defining the role, but I'm also given the appropriate resources to go forth and do, which is incredible. Again, I wake up every day with a smile on my face on Mondays, especially, and then just really gung ho to do something different every day. And leadership is just so incredibly supportive of that. So Paul, to your point, every day is different, if I'm being honest with you, which is great. Yeah.
Otherwise, it also would be really boring.
Right. But I'm still also keeping on top of laws, regulations, trends, and all that.
That's the key part.
Yeah.
Paul was saying that's one of the things that, Paul was a regulator. He was never a CPO or DPO in a company. Is now back a regulator. So yes, let's not forget that. But when he took his first in-house role as CPO, it was quite eye-opening for him. The things that we wrestled with on a daily basis, right, Paul?
Oh yeah, it was. It was a very steep learning curve. And actually had a really great discussion about this. We had a team day last week. So I also spoke at length with my legal team about this whole development and how that work. And they say, well, yeah, but you've really changed and you understand much better how the business works and also help to accommodate us and work with all of us. I said, yes, I have learned. I haven't changed. I'm still the same fundamentalist I've ever been, but I know when to speak out and when not to. But that fundamentalist part, that will not go out of me. I will still be that because I care about the fundamental right. And
totally.
That's also why this podcast is great to every once in a while go on a rant and then CK roll her eyes, oh, there he goes again. But sometimes it's needed. And at the same time, also see all these amazing developments around the world with new laws, with enforcement, and also being able to translate that back to my team and say, hey, listen, this is what happens. This is what it means. And this is how we should respond to it. Make sense of it.
It's a really interesting journey, Paul. Like I haven't seen many regulators go in-house and try to, develop. Yeah, I've seen the vice versa. A lot of private sector folks go into regulatory roles, but that's a really interesting path. And I'm sure that as you were probably working with, business folk that want to do a little bit things that are a little bit more risky, your regulator hat probably comes on and,
Well, I'm sure you have a marketing team as well, Ron.
Yeah, we do.
So you know how they work.
Oh yeah.
And you know what kind of requests you get. And of course you are not assessing, at least my assumption is you're not assessing the compliance of your own marketing team's activities, that you have other people at Transcend who would do that. But of course there's always questions. And whether that is at my current company or in other roles, there's always questions where you come up and say, yeah, well, you can look at the law in multiple ways. And my recommendation would be this, but you can also do these other things, but then you have to think about safeguards X, Y, and Z. So go ahead and make your decision. I'm not here to give you sign off or my blessing or whatsoever.
I'm picturing Paul as a Western cowboy going, go ahead, make your decision. I dare you.
Yeah, then it's more like an apprentice boardroom, I would say.
That's the sticker you need to make, Kay.
So Paul is a cowboy. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would pair it with mine, which he says he's always a fundamentalist. I am always a go, go, go. I am always a let's try it, let's innovate it, let's be risky. Now, within the realms of the law, but I'm always like, you want to do what? Yeah, that sounds cool. Let's find a way to make it happen, because then you're navigating a mystery. You're trying to find the solution, because most of the time you can pretty much do what it is you want to do. You just might not be able to do it the way you think you're going to do it. Gonna have to put some notice, some transparency, some limits in place, some get rid of some data when it needs to. But that's one of the reasons we work well together is that kind of
but
a
I
thing.
don't hear you saying anything different from what I'm doing, Kay, because I may be the fundamentalist, but it is not that my first response is going to be, no, you cannot do that. The response that I'm looking for is, how can we do it? I'm not the office of no. I don't want to be the office of no, because I also want to make sure that things actually happen and that people do come to me. If I'm the one always saying no, then they will stop.
They're going to go around you. But I call it the office of no, KNOW.
I needed that clarification. Yeah.
Right. Because you heard me say I am the office of no. But no, so get back into what's the most fun thing you've done? What's the most unthing fun you've done? What do you want to do now that you're 3 months in? You're defining your own role. You're finding your feet. You know you got the resources. What's next? You're going on a road trip.
Yeah.
Right?
I am on the road trip. It's called the Transcend Field Trips. And I took this kind of concept of field CPO and expanded on that. So now I'm going out in the quote unquote field. I came up with that myself. I'm not a marketer, but they like it. Nice.
I like it.
But I think when I was in Brussels for AIGG, one of the kind of the coolest things I did was meet folks at the EU or the European Commission and members of parliament. That was super cool.
Oh, I bet.
Actually, because there's a lot of formality around going into the actual commission. And then it was my first time actually, face to face live interacting with regulators. And there's like certain.
There are some that will freeze you out and some that will talk to you. You kind of learn your balance with the personalities. Yeah.
The balance is key. Yeah. And there's definitely personalities, but I've been fortunate enough to talk with folks that are actually really, really open to talking with operational folks. So one of the things that's forthcoming from a Transcend perspective is we have a call to action, which is essentially these regulators want increased participation from the folks that are going to be impacted by these laws.
Right.
That was my wonder. The one thing I brought to the table was it's great. Like take, for example, the AI Act, but the question that I was always top of mind for me was, did you actually engage with the people that are going to have to operationalize conformity assessments, that sort of thing?
No, they did not.
See, and that's the thing I want to change.
That's their definition of what they call the privacy sandbox, because I've been hearing them talk about the privacy sandbox for years. And finally, at the Nordic privacy arena, that was one of the things I'm like, all right, y'all are the ones coining this term. What does it mean? Nobody explains what it means. It's meeting with the people in the field. It's
creating the safe space to do it
for different stakeholders to get feedback and throw ideas up and stuff like that.
Yeah, but no, it's a bit beyond that. It is, I have a product that involves personal data. I think it's high risk. I want to talk to the DPA about it. So it's basically also part of your impact assessment. And you can showcase it to the Data Protection Authority and also get their feedback without having the fear that you will also immediately receive a sanction if something goes wrong.
Really, though?
Their topic at the time was AI they were going to bring up another topic and talk about it, but that to me to explain it. So what you're talking about, meeting with regulators and getting their take of, have you thought about how this is operationalized?
Mhm.
I mean, it's not pie in the sky for most of us. It's boots on the ground. How do
Right.
we do this?
And have you realized how much is coming at companies right now with GDPR, with lots of guidance,
Yeah.
with the DSA, with the DMA, with the AI Act, the Data Governance Act, the Data Act, and
Yeah.
that's just the European Union. Then we have
Yeah.
India, China, the United States.
Well,
and
you hit the nail on the head, Paul, in terms of, one of my questions to them was, did someone take a look at the GDPR and try to align and, leverage what we already have at play? For example, DPIAs,
Right.
How can we expand upon those to address AI technology risk? And there was, some nodding of the head and stuff, but like at the end of the day, I think an operational perspective would have really helped. And I know that the AI office, there's going to be more pragmatic guidance
Right.
forthcoming. So I'm looking forward
But
to
it
seeing what
takes
they
them
come up
time
with.
to boil it down,
Yeah. Mhm.
to
Exactly.
trickle it through it. It really does.
yeah, and it's the
Mhm.
same with the Digital Services Act, where it's
Yeah.
mainly the competition authorities who are in charge and the consumer authorities. And they have been working since February 17, also together in setting up the Digital Services Board. So similar to the European Data Protection Board, there will be a European Digital Services Board, also chaired by the European Commission. They will also issue guidance. But that will probably take another year before we see the first guidance, because they first need to set up their own structure and their ways of working and get to know each other and get to know the boundaries of what they can talk about and what not before they even can start drafting. And we know from the European Data Protection Board that also the drafting process of these opinions
Yeah.
can take months, if not years.
But to your point, Paul, like the question for you both is, who do you think from a, executive team perspective, they're going to look to address compliance with the DSA, the DGA, the Data Governance Act, the Data Act? It's going to be us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So which is really, it's really critical. It's a really critical thing to think about, because I wouldn't necessarily say, at least personally speaking, that I have the bandwidth, resources, or expertise to attack all those four things on top of what I need to do on a day-to-day basis. So I think executive teams need to start thinking about how they can better support us if they expect us to really understand and operationalize these things that are above and beyond privacy, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, welcome to my world. Yeah. That's exactly the discussions I've been having.
Right.
It is privacy adjacent, but it's actually the discussion that I'm also having internally and also with the regulators and with other people in the industry. It is a lot for in-house teams to cover. And yes, the Googles and the Metas of this world, they have dozens and dozens of lawyers. They will be able to find the bandwidth. But for mid-sized companies, let
average
alone for
company.
small companies, it's hard. And you are lucky if you have more than one person on compliance issues. I mean, we have three, but we are in a highly regulated industry.
Yeah.
Including anti-money laundering and special categories of objects that are on the marketplace. So things related to nudity, to archaeology, to ivory, and all those kind of things are also all regulated. We need to deal with trade policy and trade bans. And then there is somebody who wants to sell something that many decades ago may have been located in Iran for a while. And so the payment service provider says, yeah, but there is a link with Iran. So the US government says that I may not take payment for this. These are also things that happen in the world of online marketplaces. Yeah. And then on top of that, you have DSA, DMA, and all the other ones that I just mentioned. It's fun to look at all of those challenges and see how to
give me
make it all work.
Let me hire some FTEs,
Right,
give me
that's
budget.
the thing.
Or don't throw it at me all at once.
Well, I was going to say there's two things at play here. One, typically whoever we report to, CEO, general counsel, whatever, and again, not talking my current job, they don't understand what privacy does. They're like, how is this a full-time job? How do you possibly do 40 hours? I'm like, oh my God, I don't work less than 60 hours. And yes, it's definitely a full-time job. But the other thing at play is, as we've discussed, and we've all discussed, privacy is a helping profession. The business learns that you quickly understand laws, you know how to ramp up, and you're there to support the business. So they bring all the other compliance issues to you as well. And they're hoping you can help them solve the problem. And it's very difficult for privacy to go, no, not my role. You need to go talk to
Absolutely.
your chief compliance officer or whatever that role is. Oftentimes there's not a role.
I'll add a layer to that too, Kay. You've mentioned it before, this concept of a house of no and changing that to KNOW. I think that kind of needs to shift. We need to be seen as partners in the business, meaning that we contribute to
Right.
the bottom line versus, again, I think CPOs and other compliance professionals are always thought of as roadblocks, cost
Yeah.
centers, etc. And that perspective needs to change.
Agreed.
So agree with everything you
Agreed.
said. Yeah.
There is one thing that's been on my mind since the introduction, because
Uh-oh.
Ron, you have been working at all of these dating app companies, and I want to know what that is like to do privacy there with all of this very intimate data of
Right.
everybody around the world who is looking for romance in their life.
Well, I will say that, to your point, the fact that you are responsible for users' ultra sensitive personal information, it really is something that I was proud to be part of from and that's why I actually went into tech as well. I wanted
Yeah.
a challenge. So
You got it.
So I did. And in my most recent role before Transcend, I was, as chief privacy officer at Grindr, I was really, and being part of that community really made an impact on me personally, because I've used Grindr. I grew up with that app, and it really was, impactful to me to know that I was really keeping our users safe and secure and their data private. So to your point, Paul,
It's a pretty big burden on your shoulders.
it's a pretty big burden. Yes, absolutely. But it comes with the thrill and the joy of knowing that you are actually really making an impact to users worldwide, especially users that are underserved, users that don't necessarily have equal rights globally. So knowing that you're keeping their data safe was really, really thrilling to me.
Yeah, that a leak of the data
yeah,
might amount to more dangers than just personal data breach.
Absolutely.
And I'll admit, I met my husband online on Match.com.
Nice. I met my partner online. So
Yeah.
I haven't met my partner yet, so applications are open.
Our match was in January of 2001.
wow.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah. So back before it was
So
cool.
Match.com was like the only, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny now because, well, online dating has become such the norm, but I don't know if you guys are like reading articles around the fact that it's actually turning back now into like live experiences. So there's a lot of apps, but there's a couple of
that
apps
are setting
specialize.
social events and stuff, right?
Exactly. Like dinners with strangers, that sort of concept.
Yeah.
So it's just funny to see that kind of cycle.
Everything comes back
in the Netherlands,
around, right?
Breeze is becoming very popular. That was actually in the newspaper this morning, that 25% of dates in Amsterdam apparently now is via Breeze, and you match with somebody, you pay €9 to go on a date, and that includes the drink. They arrange the location, you pick the time, and then you have your date. So basically it's like a blind date, because you are not allowed to chat up front. You just meet each other there.
Oh, interesting. But you get to pick
no
who
endless
you want
chatting.
to meet there.
Yeah, that you do.
Okay,
so you first need to match, but that's the only thing you can do. You can see a profile, and that's it.
Funny enough, I posted a 7-year-old video of Cher and James Corbin singing a new I've Got You, Babe, with all the social media, and I swiped right, and so did you, and I sent you a sext message, and I'm like, people, this is becoming even more timely now. So it is. So before we sign off, let's go quickly through some current news, because we've heard from our fans that no matter what kind of show we do, they like us to mention some of the current events so they stay up. So Rhode Island is the 20th state to pass a privacy law. So if y'all missed it, don't just roll your eyes. It is another state. It's Rhode Island. They actually have a real law. You need to behave yourself. And of course, Texas went live this week. Let's see. There were 3 major labels, Universal, Sony, and Warner, that filed lawsuits against AI startups, Suno and Udio, for massive copyright infringement. So that will be an interesting thing to see. The European Commission told Apple that the App Store rules probably breach the deed because they restrict developers from steering consumers to alternative offers. So that's interesting.
And they told Facebook that the pay or okay is also not okay. Also under
It's
the
not
DMA.
okay.
And that all rhymes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we all thought that wasn't going to be the thing.
No, but it's interesting to see that they are now under pressure, both from the DSA side and from the data protection side.
Yeah, true. Very true. Very true. This one is interesting because we've talked about it a little bit before about the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services told hospitals they can't use trackers online because it's unlawful, because they may be tracking patients. And we said, well, does that go too far? Because if they're just on the website, are they violating privacy? And it should be that trackers are restricted, when they sign up for a particular service or they're calendaring or something. So I think there's a balance to be had here because now a federal judge has ruled that HHS overstepped its authority and is not allowed to ban hospitals from using web trackers. So I think we're going to have to find a good balance here. Let's see. Swedish Privacy Protection Agency imposed a 15 million penalty on Avanza Bank AB for transferring its customers' personal data to Meta via the Metapixel.
Of course.
So,
and that's 15 million kroner, so about 1.5 million euros.
Thank you.
And then finally today, also the Lithuanian Data Protection Authority imposed a 2.4 million euro fine together with the French Data Protection Authority and the Polish to Vinted, which is an online thrift store, secondhand clothing, but for not deleting accounts and not talking about shadow bans.
I do too for my cosplay. So yeah, but let's bring it full circle.
They have been sanctioned.
Yeah. Full circle, the last one, the city of Toronto is still getting in trouble for posting its personal information online, phone numbers, addresses, email addresses, signatures of residents. They've been told they can't do it. They continue to do it. So that brought us full circle right back around to Toronto and, of course, cosplay and buying clothes online at Vintage.
So on that note, we'll end this episode. Thank you, Ron, so much for joining us finally on the podcast. And I'm sure we'll see you anywhere around the world in the next couple of months.
This is so fun.
Will you go to the Global Privacy Assembly in Jersey?
I am going there. Yes. So maybe we can, let's definitely meet up.
We'll do a live podcast there. We have decided this week that a live event is bound to happen.
I would love that. And I'm trying to do something. So quick plug for the LGBTQ plus allies party happening at the Privacy, Security and Risk IPP conference in LA in September. So that's coming up, and I'll give you a sneak peek at the theme, which is Hollywood Glam. And I told you this, Kay, already. So I'm so excited to see what you're going to come up with.
I won't be able to be at that one. I just don't have it with my travel in September and October. I just don't have it to go, but I'm going to try since it's on a weekend, weirdly. So I'll try, but I'm not going to count on that. This leads me
to my other point around we should try to do something at the Global Privacy Assembly.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah.
We're going to try and make that happen.
Because Paul actually likes going out at night and dancing and stuff.
Especially in a week like that where you're indoors all week. I think that's fun. So yes, look out for those announcements as well. You'll find Kay on social media as Heart of Privacy, myself as Europol B. Until next week, goodbye.
Bye, y'all.
That was Serious Privacy.
If you're a data protection or privacy professional, you already know the pressure. Non-stop regulatory change, AI oversight, internal demands, and the expectation to somehow stay ahead of it all. And the old patchwork of tools just isn't cutting it anymore.
No. That's why TrustArc created a modern privacy management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. The TrustArc platform brings your workflows, evidence, research, tasks, and applications all together in one unified and intelligent workspace so you don't waste time digging, clicking, or context switching.
With Ask Arc, your privacy assistant, you can ask plain language questions about laws, jurisdictions, or even your own program data and get credible, cited answers based on Nimity research and more than 1,000 global laws. It's explainable, transparent, and purpose-built for data protection and privacy.
So if you need to add a vendor, create a cookie banner, or start an assessment, quick actions take formally complex tasks, turn them into bite-sized guided workflows to save you time.
It's a platform that thinks like you, works like you, and helps you move faster with confidence, whether you're a seasoned DPO or you're just getting started.
See how modern privacy gets done. Explore Arc at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.